Good evening, cowboys, cowgirls, and outlaws. Welcome to the Slick Sixguns Network. I'm your host, Slick Sixguns, and I'm here to provide education, tips, and community for those interested in the Western shooting sports. If you're interested in stuff like that, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notifications bell so you don't miss anything. Now let's pack our wagons and see what's being discovered out west. Good morning, cowboys, cowgirls, and outlaws. Welcome to the Slick Sixguns Network Facebook page. I am tuning in to you live from Texas, and I just want to let you guys know that this is our weekly live stream in which we will be talking about some pretty interesting topics that have to do with the Western shooting sports, as well as things that are going on with Slick Sixguns himself. So I just want to let you guys know, first off, that this specific video and these types of videos are meant for me to get to know my audience. It's meant for us to have a good time. It's meant for us to ask questions. It's meant for us to just kind of enjoy each other's company no matter where you're at. So I just want to go ahead and let everybody know that that's why I do these videos. I do this for fun, and I'm just glad that you guys watch it, because without you, this channel and its content really wouldn't be any possible. So I want to go ahead and get all this out of the way in the first couple of minutes here. So first off, this is coffee with Slick Sixguns, so make sure that you have your coffee cup with you, because I sure do. And let me know in the comments section what you guys are drinking. Doesn't matter what time it is. You guys could be having your morning brew, or you could be having your 5 o'clock somewhere. And yes, I know my finger is on the trigger based on what this cup looks like. It's a replica of a Colt Single Action Army, backstrap and part of the frame and all that stuff. So, it's always loaded, if you will. So, cheers. Anyway, let me know what you guys are drinking. Also, let me know where you guys are watching from. I always like to know where my viewers are watching from. I like to know where you're coming from. I'd like to know what everybody is up to, and by all means, feel free to, let everybody know in the comments section where you're watching from, and maybe I'll even give you a shout out. Never know. Depends on what part of this episode we get into. Let me know what you're drinking. I'm going to let you know what I'm drinking. I'm drinking my coffee. This is my homebrew coffee. It is not made anywhere, so I'm just letting you guys know that I made this coffee cup this morning. I didn't buy it from any shop, so, for those of you who make your own coffee, cheers. I just want to go ahead and quickly talk about this awesome coffee cup here. This was presented to me by a viewer for getting this to me, and they got it over at Lincoln County, New Mexico, which, if you guys are familiar with that, you're going to be familiar with Billy the Kid, and it has a wanted poster of $5,000 and a reward for Billy the Kid, dead or alive. So, cheers to him. Alright, so, we're having our coffee this morning. We're going to be talking about some cool topics. We're going to be talking about some guns, and we are going to be talking, obviously, about how things are going with the channel and things that are coming up. So I will take no more than hopefully an hour out of your time. We'll be talking about some good topics. And I just want to go ahead and let you guys know that if this is something you are interested in supporting, by all means, go to that Patreon account. Go to my Buy Me a Coffee. You could get mentioned for purchasing a coffee for me on one of my episodes. I have many ways that you can support the channel, and look at them at the description below. So with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about what we are going to talk about today. So we are going to be talking about my Winchester Original 1897. I will be showing you that firearm here in a moment shortly. I will be talking about it. I'm going to be covering why I bought it, what I use it for, just interesting things about it. I'm not going to talk about anything historical as much as I can. I'm going to try and refrain from that stuff, because if I say something wrong, or if I say something that is not 100% accurate, then I know that it's going to blow me up in the comment section, and people are going to lose their mind. So this is not a review. I want to tell you that right now. This is not a review of the gun. This is me just showing the gun. I'm going to be talking a little bit about what's been going on with Slick Sixguns himself and I'm also going to be talking about just some things that have occurred this week, because I know everybody wants to talk about, you know, what's going on in everybody's lives. So I'm going to share a little bit about my life with you, and without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So let's get started with the main portion of this. All right, what you all came for, and yes, I did clear this weapon before I brought it on camera, but I will clear it for my range safety officers out there, so don't hit on me too much. This is my Winchester 1897. It is clear, as you can see. Here you go. All right. This is my Winchester 1897 shotgun. It is an original. It is not a replica, but I'm going to go from butt to tip, or tip to butt, whichever way you think. Anyway, so we're going to go down to the shotgun butt here. It's nice rubber. I'll be honest, I think somebody at some point kind of refinished this rifle, specifically the wood, not necessarily the metal. I think there's portions of the metal that have been refinished, and I'll talk about that here in a second, but we're going down to the stock. Very nice stock here, very well put together. It's got no cracks in it. It's got a couple of dings just from use, and some, I think this was definitely used for sure by someone. So, you know, it's got some wear on it, but it's not all that bad. Going down to the trigger guard and the frame and the trigger, you're going to see that it looks like it was slightly reblued here, whereas the rest of the metal has some of the bluing taken off of it. You're going to see that big old ejection port right there, which you're going to see the bolt, and then you're going to see the exposed hammer. This is an exposed hammer shotgun, for those of you who don't know. Okay, it is authorized in SAS, and it is also authorized in the side match of Wild Bunch as well, which is, you know, if you guys haven't seen the movie, Wild Bunch is where this thing kind of came out with, you know, the cowboy movies, if you will. And I'm sure it was used in some others, so don't 100% go by me if that's the only one that it was used in. That's not necessarily true. I know for a fact that it was also used in The Professionals. So, going down to the barrel, nice round barrel there. Original barrel on it, to my knowledge. I think somebody cut it down, so from the original length of it. So the barrel has been shortened on it, but it's great for what it does. So going down to the back side here, gonna go ahead and show you the wood again. All right, and you can see that it says Winchester 1897 on there. Going down to the slide action, as you can see, this is, from my knowledge, I think this is the original wood, the original slide. This has not been replaced. Going down to the end of the tube, and then the barrel, and you can see that it's got a nice thick bead on it. So I think somebody either took very good care of that front sight, or they might have replaced it at some point. Probably when they cut the barrel down, they did put a new one on. Usually what I've seen on older shotguns is the beads are kind of worn down a little bit. So that's kind of neat to see. This is a Takedown model. For those of you guys who didn't notice, you'll notice that with the screw here. This is a Takedown model. Have I taken it down? Not yet. And I've had this for quite some time. So, doesn't mean that it can't be done, but you know, I've heard horror stories of people taking their 97 apart and then not being able to put it back together. Of course, that can be said with anything. So I just want to let you guys know that this is an awesome shotgun. It is in 12 gauge, and I will go ahead and show you what I am shooting out of this. Now, mind you, I've been thinking about getting into black powder, black powder shooting. You know, in which I convert all my smokeless cartridges over to black powder once I have shot all the smokeless rounds that I have, but then get into reloading. And so what I decided to do was I decided to go for a more classy look with a classy shotgun and use brass casings, all brass. So this is a 12 gauge. It is an empty casing, not primed at all. So this is something that I bought from MagTech. I don't know if they are still in stock. I bought them last year. I have not used them. They are unused, unfired, at least on my end. So this will be something very experimental for me. I'm really excited for it. For those of you who use brass shotgun shells out there, please let me know your experiences when it comes to loading them in any kind of an action. I've seen them used all the time in cowboy action shooting, and they just look really cool, classy, and also just kind of utilitarian. So I think that's just kind of neat. So I bought these mainly because I wanted to reload black powder, and I also wanted to get into shotgun reloading. I've seen some techniques on how to load them without using a press. Don't go by me. I'm not going to talk about that. If you guys want to look that up on YouTube by some people who have done it, by all means go ahead. But I've seen it, and I might use some of their techniques. So just brass shotgun shells, something to think about if you guys are interested in kind of changing up the sport a little bit or changing up your style of shooting. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about why I got this shotgun. Okay, so we'll talk about why I got it, what I paid for it, what I use it for. Okay, so why did I get this shotgun? Okay, well, I didn't get this just because I wanted it. Much like in the other videos that I've posted, I have talked about a lot about certain firearms that I bought just solely for the sheer fact that I found them and they were available, and even though they were expensive, I was able to purchase them, so I went ahead and did it. This was not the case with this one. So what did I do? Well, what I did was I actually got my wife involved with cowboy action. I thought it was kind of something that she and I could do together. She said that she wanted to try it, didn't necessarily say she wanted to get into it. And so basically, I took her out to a couple matches, took her out to some practices, and what ended up happening was she kind of started to fall in love with seeing some of the firearms, and then she also fired some of the firearms, found a few firearms that she actually liked, and consequently they ended up being a little bit different than mine and a little bit different styles, so therefore it gave me a reason to buy more guns. Anyway, you know, so there's never, you can't just have one, and you know, like I said, I'm a kind of a collector, so I collect as well. At some point I probably would have gotten something like this. However, she tried in 1897 and thought that it was the best thing since sliced bread when it came to shotguns out of all the ones that she tried. And, you know, in this sport we try to stick with our competition guns being something that we are very comfortable with shooting and we have no problem roughhousing with and using a lot. So unless you're like me and then you switch up your loadout every single time you go. So, I mean, that could be you. If that is you, please let me know in the comment section if you guys do a different loadout every time you go to SAS. Some people do that. And that is just one of the benefits of the sport. You know, you get to go out there, you get to show off the guns you have, and that's just the way it is. So, I bought this for her because she wanted an 1897, so I started looking around for an 1897, and of course, some of the 1897s that were available in stock were a little bit more on the pricier side that I really couldn't afford at the time, so I started asking around to some friends, asked around to some local club members, and what they ended up doing was I had someone who sure enough was getting out of the sport and decided to sell off their 1897 for a reasonable price, and she tried it, picked it up, the price was good, it felt good in her hands, it worked, and we decided to buy it and have had it since. So, that is the reason why I ended up buying it, okay? For those of you who have 1897s, let me know what you guys think of them. I know that they're one of the more popular shotguns that you're going to see out there, just because some people can run them pretty darn fast. Some people are really good with it. You know, I'm not really that fast. So, anyway, So I just want to let you guys know that this is my wife's firearm. Do I use it on occasion? Yes, I have. We have on occasion traded firearms to give her a try at other things, but she prefers the 1897, and sometimes I like to shoot the 1897 as well, so we'll use only one shotgun for between the both of us. So anyway, that is why I bought it. So how much did I pay for this thing? Okay, so mind you, this is before all of the craziness that is going on with firearms. This is before all of the price hikes, price gouging, all that stuff. And even though the cost to import things is getting more expensive, the cost to make things is getting more expensive, I paid a reasonable price for this and was willing to pay it. Some of you may disagree. For the condition it was in, for what the guy was willing to offer, and the fact that I didn't have to do anything to fix her up, I only paid $300 for this shotgun, which was a pretty steaming deal for me. For those of you who don't know, I have some pretty expensive firearms, so $300 really wasn't nothing to say no to. So if your prices have increased when you have either bought or sold your firearms, that is 100% fine. I'm not saying that you need to drop your price down to, the price that I bought it for. Is just what the seller was willing to sell it for. So, $300 for this type of a shotgun isn't that bad at all. So, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So if you think that that is something that was too steep, well, fine. I'm gonna tell you that I enjoy this shotgun. I bought it because I wanted to. I ended up, using this quite a bit. Haven't had any problems with it, so I think it was $300 well spent. That's my opinion. So, you guys have yours and enjoy that. So that is how much I paid for something like this. So if you find a deal like that, or if you think you can get something like this cheaper, then by all means go for it. It's not unreasonable to pay $300 for something like this. It's not unreasonable to pay $500 for something like this. And I'm sure some people charge upwards of that for something like this, especially if, people are not really willing to sell right now, but you're willing to pay the price, then that's the way it goes. Okay, so I talked about how much I paid for this. I talked about who I bought it for. I talked about why I bought it. And I will now talk about what do I actually use this thing for. Well, if you guys haven't really been paying attention, I'll go ahead and kind of refresh your memories. I use this specifically for cowboy action. I have used this rifle for home defense. Not saying that I have actively used it, but I have kept it in the house. I've kept it loaded because of the capacity of the shotgun, and it's just a very handy shotgun to have. I have since traded that out, and I will tell you, for those of you who are interested in knowing about what I use for home defense, I will tell you what I am using for home defense at this time, but I'm not going to share that just now. However, I will tell you that I have kept this in the house for home defense, and then I also decided to take it to the matches that I compete in. So it has had a dual purpose, and it has done both purposes to me extremely really well. So that is what I use it for, and how often I use it. Me personally, I don't use this shotgun as often. Like I said, it is my wife's. She uses it more than I do, and she will use it at every match. So it gets a lot of use and a lot of running, and I haven't had any issues with it. I haven't shot black powder through it, so cleaning it's going to be interesting when it comes to that. And we'll get to that at some point, I am sure. And I have enjoyed it. She's functionally sound, and I'll go ahead and show her to you here again. So going down to the butt, to the stock and the tang. Wood looks really good. Just a very solid looking gun there. Very chunky action looking thing right there. you know, with the trigger, with the hammer and the bolt. A very solid lockup, if you will. So going down to the frame, you see the ejection port, you got the barrel and the tube. Does it hold all 5? Yes, it does. I don't have, you know, I don't have a magazine tube cutoff or anything like that. There's some interesting things about this, about this shotgun that I'm going to go ahead and show you. You know, by all means, this is not a review video, so I'm going to reiterate that. But I would like to tell you, as I did before, this is an exposed hammer shotgun. So one of the few that you're going to see out there on the range. You know, aside from the double barrel and the hammer doubles, you've got the exposed hammer on this, and then the action pretty much just comes all the way out. You're going to see the bolt come almost out of the frame, and you're going to see the lifter come down at a 45-degree angle to go ahead and accept a shell. And you know, it's a very efficient type of action. So I think that is really neat. You know, some people have stated that, you know, their wrists kind of get in the way, so this thing could kind of theoretically punch you and cause you to have some pain, if you will. You know, I guess like a thumb buster, something like that. I know that with some actions, specifically like the slight action lightnings and the larger caliber, specifically in the 50 and the large frames, I know that some people were saying that they had some trouble with that. I personally have not had any issues with this action. So I just think that's kind of neat that the whole bolt just comes out the rear like that. It's a very solid lockup. Something else that is kind of interesting, as I said, is it is a takedown. So you are going to see the screw here. I have not done the takedown method, but you know, that was one of the features that it had, and not all of them are like that. Something else that is pretty interesting about this is that even though you load it up through here in the bottom, you have the ability to do basically a dump of all your ammunition, and you can dump them extremely quickly. So there are these 2 buttons that are located on the side, as you can see here and here, in which if you are fully loaded, and if you're fully loaded, these the rounds are going to be retained by some springs in here on either side, and that's what is attached to these buttons. And if you want to unload for safety, or you just don't want to use the gun anymore for storage, you just go ahead and press these buttons on the side here, and you are going to go ahead and dump the entire magazine out. Sometimes that runs into your hand, so you got to make sure that you position your hand just perfectly so that it all kind of slides out. Some people modify their guns so that they don't do that, you know, so that they can't even retain rounds in the magazine tube, and they just are only able to load them through the magazine, through the ejection port, which is typically how most people do it anyway. But that is by choice. I've heard of some people doing that. I'm not going to do it just because I don't want to have any issues with my firearm. I don't want to modify it in any way because it's the configuration I got it in. And yes, it has been refinished, I believe, but to my knowledge, nothing has been mechanically altered on it. So another thing that's kind of interesting on this firearm is the ability to essentially use the slide action. You run the slide and you're able to essentially not only pull the trigger, but you can hold the trigger down, and then as you can see, you can just run the action, get on target, run the action. You're gonna go ahead and, you know, fire another round as soon as that action closes. So you could theoretically fire in one shot. If you wanted to hit another target really quickly, you just come out and you just go ahead and hit it like so. Not really a very super accurate way of doing it, and some people, if they shoot from the hip, wanted to just mag dump into something really close, you could do that. That is just the way that the gun is designed to fire. So it is a very fast firing action if you have a full magazine. So just something that's kind of interesting. You know, these were used in World War I as well, so a little bit of a historical standpoint. So these shotguns were used to help clear trenches. They had a heat shield that was put onto them, and also had bayonet lugs mounted to them. This is not one of those models. The other ones that are like that were actually issued to the United States government. So if you have one of those, that's great. To my knowledge, you really can't use those in SAS, at least in the cowboy action side. Don't go by me. Maybe you could use it in the Wild Bunch, but you know, I'm not going to say you can or can't. I would consult the range handbook. I would consult the SAS handbook. I would consult some people over at your club to talk about that. And you guys can go ahead and determine from there whether that is actually legal or not. I think just this shotgun itself is not only handy, but it's extremely just cool looking. So, you know, as most firearms are prior to 1900, you have a lot of experiments. You have a lot of new designs coming out, and this is just kind of one of the evolutions. There was another model that was prior to this that was very similar, but was deemed unsafe. It was the 1893 model, and then came the improved 1897 model. So this is the 1897 model. It's kind of a menacing looking shotgun, if you will. So, you know, you got that big old hammer right there, and so I would definitely not want to be on the receiving end of this, you know, especially with someone who knows how to use it. So it would be very devastating. But nonetheless, I know some people who have used them for hunting. You know, obviously you're going to have to make sure that you are doing it properly and abide by all hunting regulations where you're hunting. So make sure that your magazine tube is in the correct configuration. You know, but yes, in its standard configuration, at least in this one, it can hold 5. You know, you go up to the Model 12, you have up to 6 rounds in the magazine. So, and we will talk about the Model 12 when we get to that firearm. So this is just kind of a very unique firearm. I like how she looks. I like how she handles. She's very well balanced to me. I like the way that the barrel is set up. You know, it's just very handy, and she handles recoil great. She's heavy enough to take the recoil of a 12 gauge, but she's not so heavy to the point where you can't get on target really quick, or, you know, wield it around if you really needed it to. So that's what I really like about it. She's very well put together as well. Just a very solid looking gun, and something if you are considering purchasing, I highly recommend something like this. If you are a Western firearms collector, SAS shooter, or just interested in shotguns all in general, this is a pretty good shotgun to have. So, just really neat right there. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to have some coffee real quick. So, you know, it's just, it's a good day. You know, some other things I'm going to go ahead and talk about as well with not just cover the shotgun, but I'm going to talk about what's going on with, you know, my life and what's been going on with the channel, what's been going on with just life in general. And you guys can ask me questions. I'll bring it, you know, I'll try to answer your questions as much as I can, as accurately as I can, and we'll go from there. Something that was kind of interesting that happened yesterday is I not only run the Slick Sixguns network channel, but I also run an affiliate business off of Goats on the Go. I'm interested in things like livestock and targeted grazing, and you know, that's something that, you know, became kind of a passion of mine over the last several years. I've had livestock on this property for the last 6 years, specifically goats. Yes, I do have an ag exemption, and, you know, been able to manage them pretty well. And one of the things we did was we just officially opened up our business for Goats on the Go, and we are specifically Goats on the Go Austin Northwest. You guys can look us up at goatsonthego.com, and we just had our ribbon cutting ceremony. Those of you who were paying attention to the feed yesterday, you'll see that I cut the ribbon with my son over there, actually on a job site. And it was just very fun to be out there. The local magazine came out to interview us. We answered some questions. We went ahead and cut the ribbon, said hello to the Chamber of Commerce people, and it was just a lot of fun. So this is something that I'm going to keep as a reminder of when we opened our business and just what we had to go through to do that. It was a good time. Basically, it's been about a year in the making, and finally got it off the ground. So the business is going strong, and if that is something that you're interested in, by all means, go ahead and check it out, goatsonthego.com. Maybe you guys can actually get us out there to your property and we can do some brush clearing for you. Targeted grazing. All right. So, interesting stuff. You have to forgive me, I got some water too. I was outside prior to doing this. So, anyway. Yeah, some good stuff going on. I'm glad that I could show you guys the shotgun. Glad if you guys have any questions about the business that I just mentioned, please let me know in the comments section, or go ahead and contact me at some point. I service most of the Central Texas area, and as far as the channel is concerned, it's still going really strong. We're getting members that are jumping in. People join every day, which is good. I love seeing that. And so seeing that I've got a bit of a following and I've got people that are really interested in the content that I have to offer, it just motivates me to want to put more content out. And for those of you who've been following the channel for some time, you'll notice that I slowed down for about 2 years, and I've been picking it up this last year just because I was starting up the business. I said that I was going to put out a video last week, and I didn't. I'm going to try to get a video out this week. So I have 2 videos that are currently on the docket right now. Those of you who are curious as to what those are about, I have a knife video that I've got coming out, and then I also have another parody video in which I talk about what your main match or what your Old West revolver says about you. So in which I will cover some of the main match revolvers used in the Western shooting sports and what they say about you. Some people seem to like that. Is it going to be something that my channel does from now on all the time? No, I am going to get back into other things like the history videos and the takedown videos and the overview videos. I will be showing things like that. I will be showing some more first-person matches. There's a lot of things that I really want to do with the channel that I'm really excited to bring to you. And humor is one of those things that I love to bring. And so for those of you who have been very interested in those kinds of videos, I will continue to do them. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to kind of go back to doing a few other videos of variants and just see how my audience likes that. And, and we'll see how it goes from there. The knife videos is just kind of one of those things that I got into because that was my first sponsor. The Alamo Knife Works, so we featured some of their knives on here. They enjoy the review videos I do, and some of the audience has a tendency to like some of those videos too, because you're gonna want to buy stuff that fits your character. And for those of you who don't have a Western knife or something like that, you're going to eventually want to think about getting one. And so that is a great way for you to see the different kinds of knives that are available. And Alamo Knife Works has some good lines of knives to choose from. Definitely different blade lengths, different blade styles, handle styles. They're just very well put together. And, and I like the owner. The owner's a very nice guy, and he's worked with us at the channel for a while, and so I am going to do a few more knives with him, and so I will be showing you that as well. So stay tuned for that. So I am, as I said, I'm trying to put out 2 new videos this upcoming soon. Sorry I haven't been putting out too many videos lately. I was getting the business going, getting the goats on the go going, but you know, we've been doing these live streams every week for those who have been interested in watching, so it's something that you guys can at least feed off of until you get your next hit of Slick Sixguns. So, you know, the channel is going strong. Let's put it that way. I enjoy doing it. I love doing it. I want to continue to do it. And, you know, I am always about putting out quality content rather than quantity. I like and prefer to put out once a week videos. That's what I would love to do. Unfortunately, just due to the editing process and due to the fact of I know that the audience wants to be able to pay attention to my videos and I don't want them to lose interest, which is why I have the videos in the first place, I want to make sure that I'm meeting the audience needs, and what most people want is they want videos that are entertaining but also have some type of interaction or have something that is a little bit shorter in duration. So I have very short, interesting, factual videos that I provide to the viewer, and sometimes that just takes time to make, you know, because you got to invest time and effort to make sure that you put the right stuff in there. And so that takes time. So I know that people get a little antsy when they're like, when is he going to post? When is it going to happen? He didn't post this week. What's wrong? You know, have I thought that way? Yes. You know, I myself have actually thought that way too. Why I don't post videos more often? Well, the sheer fact is I try to bring you guys quality, and I know that you guys want it, and it's just something I like to put pride in. If I'm going to take the time to put in a good video, and if I'm going to spend the hours to do it, I might as well make it a good one that everyone's going to enjoy than just put it out there just for the sheer fact of people will get views. That is just not me. I want quality, and I know you want quality. So that's the reason why my videos come out a little bit slower than once a week. If I can get back up there, I'm going to, and I would love to be there. So we will see how that goes. So that is the current state of the channel. I hope you are enjoying the videos as much as possible, and I'm glad that you guys could enjoy having a cup of coffee with me. Been doing this for a while, for about a year and a half, when it comes to these coffee videos. I hope everyone's liking them. I enjoy doing them. It gives me a chance to get to know the audience. It gives me a chance to talk to the audience because, you know, it's kind of hard to do that over a YouTube video. But I do try to answer my YouTube comments. I try to answer all the comments that I have, even, you know, sometimes when I get emails. Sometimes it can be hard to keep up with, but it just shows that people are interested. So I continue to do what I do. You know, let me know if you guys have done something interesting with your lives, or if there's been some new changes or whatever. We'll go ahead and, you know, think about you, and we'll talk about it or whatever it is you want to discuss. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is the last thing that we will go ahead and cover for this episode, because I don't want to give away too much and I don't want to keep rambling. I know that people have some things to do, and I know that you take your time out of your day just to watch me, and I don't want to waste more time than I have to. So, I talked about how this 12 gauge here that I have, I had originally for self-defense as well, to include competition, and I don't use it anymore because I have something else. I'm not going to show that weapon here, but I'm going to talk about it because it's been something that everybody has been wanting to talk about. Is it really cowboy? Is it really Western shooting sports? No. But it is just something to know about me. So, for those of you who don't know, I went ahead and I decided to purchase my first AR-15. You can say thank you. Congratulations. It's not my style of rifle particularly that I always wanted to get. However, just due to recent events and the fact that I've worked with that style of rifle before. I'm familiar with it. I know how it functions. And so in a home defense situation, or the way that I have my property set up, it just is a good ranch rifle for me. You know, I could go out and get a good lever gun that's, you know, a tactical lever gun, if you will, but it didn't really appeal to me. And for the sheer fact that the capacity is kind of one of those things that I thought kind of appealed to me, I decided to get it. Not to mention, you know, I am a collector. The design is historical in a way, and there's other designs out there that I guess you could argue I could get, but just for the sheer fact of kind of how everything is going right now, I decided to go out and purchase an AR-15. And, you know, good, bad, indifferent, however you guys feel about that, don't matter. You know, I decided to get it just for the sheer fact that it's a rifle that I could beat up and I wouldn't care about. This gun, for example, if I took it out, beat it up, ran it through brush, or God forbid dropped it, I would have a heart attack just because of how pretty they are. And I didn't want to, you know, take something out that I would really care about. So I care about it, not to say I don't, but at the same time, it's rugged. If I scratch the steel on it, fine, whatever. If I break the stock on it, it's plastic, doesn't matter, whatever. I could always replace it, but, you know, something like this, especially now, is harder to find. So, you know, I just didn't want to put it through the rigmarole of heavy-duty use, and I wanted something that I would be able to carry on my property if I wanted to. I do have concealed carry handguns as well. I recently got rid of mine, surprisingly. Surprisingly, I got rid of my concealed carry handgun to get the AR-15. Why did I do that? Because I already had a concealed carry handgun. I had two, and I got rid of one. So I ended up keeping one that I just carry on me whenever I leave the house or sit in the car or whatever. And then I have my AR-15 for, you know, house stuff, you know. So not going to get into politics of that. That's not what this channel is about. But, you know, I like to tell you guys about what I've been doing lately. That's one of the things I did. And did I get it for a good price? Yes, because all I had to do was change a gun that I already had, give it to somebody who wanted it, and they were willing to trade me their AR-15, which they had several of, so I got an AR-15. I don't know how you guys feel about that. It doesn't really matter. It didn't cost me any money, so that's what mattered to me in the end. So, just kind of neat. Alright. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed the coffee. I hope you guys have enjoyed the conversation. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode, and stay tuned to the YouTube videos. You all have a wonderful day. Thank you. Description section is a link to our Patreon account if you feel like supporting us. Don't forget to buy me a coffee as well. It's cowgirls and cowboys. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. And if you're looking forward to the next video, I'll see you on down the trail. Have a good one.